As we've seen, when we place our geometry on a layer, it looks like that layer. For instance, if I draw a circle on a green layer, the circle looks green. If I draw a rectangle on a layer that has a hidden line type, the rectangle will have a hidden line type. This is because my geometry has a bilayer property applied to it. The bilayer property means that the layer setting dictates how the entities look. Now I've got a drawing open on my screen, and this drawing contains no geometry, but it does have 4 layers. To view my layers, I'm going to go to the Layer Properties Manager. Now mine happens to be anchored to my interface. If yours is not visible on screen, you can always open it by clicking this icon. I'm going to open up the manager, and if we look right here, we can see our 4 layers. If I come down a little bit further, we can see they're each a different color, and some of them have a different line type. I'm going to move my cursor into model space and we'll let this collapse. Take a look at the layer control. Notice my current layer is layer part. I'm going to create a circle. I'm going to pick my center point right in the middle of the screen, and we'll give this guy a radius of 3. Notice how my circle is taking on the appearance of the part layer. Let's select this. We'll click the layer control, and I'm going to put it on layer hidden lines, and I'll hit escape. Notice it now looks like the hidden lines layer. I'm going to select it again, click the flyout, and we'll put it on the center lines layer. And once again, as you would expect, it is now taking on the appearance of that layer. This is because my circle has a bilayer property. Bilayer means my layer settings dictate how this entity is going to look. Now it's important to note that we can also force properties on our objects. Right over here in my ribbon, we have a Properties panel. Notice that this guy contains 3 settings. One for color, one for line thickness, and one for line type. Also notice that each of these guys currently is set to bilayer. Let's make a change. I'm going to click the color flyout, and I'm going to set this to cyan. This means that every entity that I create from now on is going to be forced to have a color of cyan regardless of the layer that it's sitting on. Let's create another circle. I'm going to launch the command, and we'll create the circle from the center of this one, and then I'll just free pick a point on screen. Notice even though this circle was created on the part layer, it is forced to have a color of cyan. This is actually a terrible way to work. If you force properties on your objects, you are greatly reducing your ability to change those properties later. Imagine if I copied this circle 700 times throughout my drawing. And then what if I had to change the color of these circles? If their color property was set to bilayer, I could easily change the color of all of them just by changing the color of my layer. If their color is forced on them, I'm going to have to go through and manually select each of these guys and change their color property. Let's set this circle's color back to bilayer. To do that, I'm going to select it. I'm going to come up to my color flyout, and I'm going to select bilayer, and then I'll hit escape. And then one more thing. Notice my current color is still set to cyan. Let me click the flyout again, and I'll select bilayer, such that each new entity will have a color property of bilayer. The best advice I can give regarding the bilayer property is don't touch it. You should never force properties on your objects. If all of your entities are set to bilayer, making color, line type, or line weight changes is as simple as changing your layer settings.